Heir to the throne. That is what it is. Congratulations.
Y'all just gonna ignore the no trespassing sign. Hey, yo, turn me up in the headphone. Heir to the throne, with common grown, the talent zone. Got an old school flow, toss the valley zone. Avoiding metal detectors, gun in the carry on. Soon as I step in the building, they screaming daddy's home. Airdrop on the beat from the Apple phone. Flight on, Pacific skipping through time zones. Some with the heat, Jimmy Butler, I get my shine on. Still with precision, strong vision without the mind stone. Grip my teeth in these streets, I get my grind on. I'm serving work late night, fluorescent sign on. Who wanna spar for the man on heavy?
Yeah, check.
There's a stone wearing sandals. 50 cal by the handle with a can full of ammo. Dressed in fatigue, stage painted with camel. You wanna live, don't gamble. First blood, new ramble. Old money, new Lambo for the score. Pack hop in the stands, old Lambo. Fire drums, verse liquefied lungs. Heartburn, no tongue, spit acid and young. Ghost writing.
Yeah. That's my man, Heaven in the Booth. El Jefe. That's the name of that song. Was Heir to the Throne. That's on an upcoming album called Heaven in the Booth. It's coming out soon. That's an exclusive preview. And Hev, don't beat me up for previewing that joint. But yeah, man, that's my guy. Heaven in the Booth. Coming soon. Fresh off the presses, man. So today, man, I want to say I appreciate y'all for coming out, checking out the Grind 329 podcast. And tell you a little bit about the podcast. The podcast is put in place to help our people, man. Put in place to talk about things to help us grow, things to help us get ahead, things to help us go further as a community, specifically as a producer community, as black men, as husbands, brothers, uncles, whatever we are to our family conclaves, man. That's what we're trying to do. And so I want to get back to the times where we didn't always have to charge people to do for them. So at this point, I want this to be some free game to people, so that they can come in and get some game and learn how to do a couple things from these special guests that I have. And it's gonna be one of those podcasts where it's meet my friends who are smarter than I am, who I learn from on a daily, who I soak up game from. So that's the gist of the podcast. So yeah, Grind by Lonze 329, right there. Grind 329 by Lonze. I said that backwards. Grind 329 by Lonze. I should know my own product, right? So I'm rocking one of the t-shirts here. We have colors of black and white, and we also have the Grind 329 Grind by Lonze candles. Get that to be up in the screen that I don't want to show, but yeah, we got the candles back on the restock. So yeah, check us out after the freaking podcast to also get you a shirt and get you some candles. So that's that. So as we're waiting on our special guest to come in, just wanted to chop it up with y'all and let you know what the gist of the podcast is about. And we're going to talk about some of the secrets of the success of being an entrepreneur, a businessman, a producer, somebody being in the music industry, and just talk about life skills, what legacy you want to bring and leave behind to your family and your kids and all that stuff. So without further ado, Grind 329 podcast. Let's go. What's good? How you doing, my brother?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I can't complain at all.
That's what's up.
At one time, my hair was growing like yours, but I couldn't stand it no longer. I had to let it go.
I gotta pull this up sometimes because now they hit my wheelchair.
Oh man.
So when I'm rolling, I usually got to pull it up or pull it back just to make sure I don't get caught in the wheels. I don't want to be rolling down the street and my head go, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be all bad for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, but man, thank you for being on the podcast, man. Appreciate you.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. I appreciate your patience.
Not a problem, man. Um, it's so much to get into, man. But anyway, welcome to the podcast. Grind 329 by Lonze. Podcast is all about, again, um, making sure our community learns some things, try to learn one, teach one, learn one kind of deal. And our special guest that we got today is Mr. Maesixx Grahm. Am I pronouncing that right? Can you pronounce it for me so I don't screw it up?
Maesixx Grahm. Yeah, like the date, but you can just say Big Six.
Big Six, out of the West Coast, California. And he gonna shine on y'all a little bit today. But yeah, I wanted to get him on board because, man, he has a plethora of knowledge on all kinds of things, man, when it comes to technology and computers and design and clothing lines and music videos, man. Just working with everything, and I thought that it'd be a good idea to have you come along and talk to the people about, some of the specifics that you're into. And I know I kind of met you on the software design or on side of the house. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about the So 100 brand, and tell us what that's all about.
You said the software? You mean the plugin?
Yeah, the plugins, expansions, and the brand, your clothes and your whole brand.
Oh, okay. So I go by Big Six. So 100 is I guess is one of my newest creations, and that happened during the pandemic. I've had the name So 100. I went by that for a little bit. I had the website for a while actually too, but didn't necessarily know what I was going to do with it. So around the pandemic time, I'm like, everybody's in the house now. I'm gonna make some beats again. Pulled out the MPC, but I remembered like I have it's portable, but my studio gear, I gotta be at my desk to get to everything. So I put together a 10 instrument expansion. That was the first Tartar Sauce. Tartar Sauce now is 100 instruments, but I put a little expansion together because I was making I think I was making an EP for my partner. And that was all I needed as far as an expansion. And I wanted to be able to go to his studio and pull up the sounds instead of dragging my synths and all that good stuff. And I went over there. There was a couple other producers there. And I pulled it up and they tripped off of it. Like, man, what is that? I'm like, what are you talking about? These just my sounds. But like, you got the covers and stuff. But that was just me. I do graphics anyway. So I wanted to be organized. And then later, he hit me when we was home. He said, could you email me that? I want to play around with it. I emailed it to him. And he sent it to a few YouTubers that they reviewed different stuff, and they was, going over different packs. And they mentioned my pack, and from there it was just, all right, I know what So 100 is going to be. So 100 is going to be anything music, sound, media that I do from here on out is going to be under So 100. Now, I do have a lot of music out. I work with a lot of artists, but this is the music that So 100 is the brand that I'm proud to tell my aunties and family to go look this up.
Right.
Go listen to it. Your sons, they can be around, children can be around, they can look at the site. This is that brand. This is the more cleaner version, but I'm having fun with it, and it's growing into its own thing.
Speaking of growing into its own thing, you introduced maybe a couple weeks ago, a new project that you're working on, Midiots. Could you talk a little bit about what the Midiots is going to be, the premise of it, and where you thinking it's going to lead to in the future?
Well, Midiots, the name came about, and I've looked online and I've seen like people and came with it. But years ago, when I was trying to get MIDI master or learn the concept of MIDI, it was just, for some reason, it was just foreign, like the MIDI time clock and MIDI sync and just getting everything to lock. And me and my partner were in the studio and it was like, man, you acting like a MIDI. And we bust out laughing. Oh, shoot, MIDI, because it's like an idiot, but you're doing MIDI and it's a play on words.
Right.
So for years, we just always used to bring that up, like whenever you forget something or don't remember how to do something, like, man, you've been an idiot again. Fast forward to recent, my wife went out of town and I had my 3 sons. So with them and being so young, I don't have time to sit in the studio and lock in like I normally would on anything. But I do teach them, and we sit and we draw and we write and we do different things. So that brought out the side of me that, hey, I remember how to draw. So I drew a beat machine. Which one did I draw? I think I drew the MPC X, and I put my phone posits on them. And I showed a few people. They was like, oh, this is dope. Do you got one for the live? And when somebody asks me if I have some, even if I don't have it, I'm gonna say, yeah, I got it. So I know I can go create it, but I'm not gonna miss any opportunity. Like, yeah, I got the live. So when they did the live, oh man, this is dope, man. I just got an SP404. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just put these together. And I just started going in on it. The designs, just drawing different beat machines, looking at ones I started on, ones I learned sound design on, just some of the favorites. And I ended up with about 65 MIDI characters with different pair of shoes.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Dude.
And then I see right behind you, you have something that says shoes.
Shoes.
Right. So that came about. Every brand I create, these are my babies, and I put my all into them. I get them to the point where they're profitable. It's streamlined. If they're like, what do you call them? Turnkey businesses, meaning I can build something, give it to you, and I'll just say, hey, do this, 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 and this. And every time, forevermore, that is your business. You'll be, profiting from it. So I make these brands, but then I have babies. And then I'm like, man, what can a father do for their son? Here's a brand I created. It's already going. It's already established. By the time you get old enough to run it, you should be good. So the first one was Crown Chakra. The second one was Ancient. Had another baby. Had my third son, and I'm like, man, I got to come up with something for him. So the Midiots came about, and it's like, man, this is dope, but I didn't do anything for my baby boy. So that's his thing. And I'm like, man, I keep giving up these brands. I need something for me. What is dad going to keep?
Right.
So I looked at all of the Midiots, and I was like, shoes. And the reason it's spelled like that, because I'm from DC. And we have a little Southern twang, especially if we go to like Baltimore. That's how they would say shoes with the W, shoes. I'm like, that's a hard name. So put the logo together. That took every bit of 15 minutes to come up with that. Wow. And I said, well, what I'm going to do with shoes is I'm going to take every shoe that I design on the Midiots and just make it its own thing for shoe lovers. So all of those different shoes on the different Midiots, I'll take it and, have some embroidered, but I really like messing with the heat press vinyl because it's different materials, different metallics, color change and stuff like that. So I have 64 different shoes. And if I just change the color one time, that's 64 to the 64th power of designs that I can press on something. Wow. So that's what shoes is. So now each of my sons have a brand and I have a brand.
That's dope. I think I have 2 questions in one that would probably answer each other. What's the secret to your success?
I don't think it's a secret. It's more so applying myself. My happiness comes from being able to come up with an idea and manifesting the idea. I also know the trials and tribulations of it is my physical body is just lazy. Not just mine, I'm speaking on me, but just the body don't want to do, just want to relax and be comfortable and all of this little creature comfort. So the challenge is getting my higher self to tame my lower self enough to accomplish something. And that's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to fathom and, put into your head. But every time I create, that's a dopamine hit to me that's better than any drug, shooting guns, whatever the case may be. That's the ultimate dopamine. So one, I do like that. I strive for that. On the other end, I know the idle mind is a devil's playground. So if I'm not busy or have any kind of goals and I'm just sitting around just meandering through life, I get to, those thoughts, oh, why me, God? And how come this and why that? And I'm not good enough this. So I don't need none of that in my life at this point. So it's basically me just surviving. It looks like hard work, but I'm fighting off depression, fighting off those thoughts, those pity party moments that your mind will put you through. And by the time I knock out a few ideas for the day, and I didn't have time to go through that.
Right.
So if I have enough of those days stacked up, if I remember that week, my week it was beautiful. It was productive. It was, stuff like that. Not to say that those moments don't creep in, but I would say if it's going to be called a secret, that's my secret. Just wanting to maintain mental health, stay productive. And I know if I have a goal, I'll wake up in the morning happy and excited about, hey, I almost finished the graphics to this one thing. Hey, this, ooh, wait till I post this. This gonna kill it. Ooh, that stuff is my secret. And then money is a result, but that's not the main goal of these brands.
That's dope. I think I know the audience probably heard you mention earlier about your wheelchair. Do you think that your disability became your superpower?
No, I think I was super before I was disabled. It's just my superpowers was cut down a little bit, but not enough to where you won't recognize my superness.
You don't think that it boosted your creativity even more? I know you already created, being the natural genius that you are, but do you think that it boosted your creativity a little bit more now that it helps to it's a technique now that you're able to use it as a technique to heal?
I wouldn't say boosted, it shifted my focus. Because when I was on my feet, I was the guy in the whole city that you would come to for window tints, sound systems. I think for at least 3 weeks, I had the loudest car on the East Coast. It was a 91 Hyundai XL.
Wow.
And I said a Hyundai, not a Honda. That's the little itty bitty clown cars. And mind you, I'm 6'2" at the time. So I didn't have a passenger seat because I needed to put my crossovers and capacitors right there. And I didn't really have a back seat because I had to put the seat down and use the trunk as rear field for my subwoofers. So if my partners was to ride with me, they'd be laying on the side right there. But that was me. I was the one putting TVs in your car on if you had a 4-inch monitor, oh, you was the man with a 4-inch. Now they got 22s and 13s and you can get them for about $150 at any electronics store. But back then, like 97, 98, it was a rare thing to see. So my creativity was in sound competition. Being from the DMV area, we had go-go bands. So I played percussion, congos, rototons, timbales, and a go-go band. Every now and then I'll kick a drum set. So it was always competition and things going on. But getting shot, it was more so I have to find things that I have access to now. because in the beginning there was a lot of bed rest, a lot of just recovering, healing.
Right.
And I chose, instead of watching cable TV and flirting with the nurses all day, I chose to put an MPC in my lap. So I pretty much had the MPC longer than my wheelchair, which is over 22 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a story, man. Goodness. And as you talk about, working in the working on cars and working on stereo systems and stuff, man, what is it that you can't do? Is there something that you can't do?
Yes, there's a lot I can't do. There's a whole lot I can't do. Like I can't run plumbing pipes, and there's a major list of what I can't do. But what I can do, I can do it.
Yeah, and you do
That's
it well.
one thing I can do. And to even the switch from live musicianship to music production came where I was just at a point, man. I ended up in a nursing home because the hospital that I was in after getting shot, they didn't prepare me to be in the streets in a wheelchair. It was just, you ain't got no pain, you good? Here's a chair and go into the world. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't cutting it. So my social worker, she tricked me. She said, hey, I know, she said, I know a place where there's a whole lot of other people who are young just like you, and they got injured. And it's a facility, and it got it's a gym there, and it's a pool and all kind of stuff. And you can go there and learn. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. Because I back with my grandmother, she had a stroke, so she couldn't take it. Yeah, not at that point. So I agreed and I went. We pulled up there, and it's just a regular old folks home. I'm like, nah, this ain't what you told me. But then she was like, all right, well, you're here. Just get your therapy. They're going to show you how to move around. They're going to teach you how to drive, live independently, and then you're out of here. I get in there. It's like, nah, you got to stay here. But they were only saying that because of my attitude and my disposition. Mm-hmm. My disposition was, this ain't fair. The nurses want to say, hey, it's time for therapy. You don't know my pain and I'm hurting. Ain't nobody doing therapy. You want me to do what? And it was only one nurse who was able to come into my room and get me to calm down. Her name was Miss Rugi. She was from Africa. She would come in and start singing and folding my clothes, and I open my eyes and it's like a movie. Everybody else, they just come in so evil. Here, take your medicines. Here, flip over, roll. It's time to do this. So when Rugi wasn't there, I was a problem. So it was like they kind of gave up on me because they felt like I gave up on myself. It's like, all right, you don't want to learn how to do anything. This is just where you're going to be for the rest of your life. And pondering on that, I had my own room, had my little boom box. And the only CDs I had was The Chronic 2001, Scarface, The Diary, and A G to a Key, Meal Ticket. And I used to listen to The Chronic 2001, and the sonics of that album caught my attention. Because before that, we didn't hear it so drums in your face, they crisp, they clear, he changed how hip hop sounded, pushing them compressors, pushing them limiters and separation. Like you heard the clarity of every little thing. And I used to listen to that and be like, I know what he's doing. At least in my car, I can make stuff sound like this. Because mind you, we were at cassette tapes at the time. So now you got hissing, you got the analog floor, whatever your wires, cassettes didn't really sound too clear. But if you had a system like I did, you can run it through putting resistors in line with your tweeters and make sure it don't hit certain frequencies and running things through capacitors. Like I knew how to get that sound in my car. I just didn't know that you can do it on a level of making the beats. So hearing that album, that's when I decided I want to make beats. I don't know how it's done yet or how I'm going to do it, but that's what I want to do. Now, mind you, at the time, There was another guy, he was around my age. He was supposed to go to the NBA, but he broke his neck in a car accident. So whenever I was bored, I used to go around, to his room, and a lot of the guys that's in the league now used to come and see him. So he had it popping in his room down that hall. And there was a chick that used to come see him, and we met, and I guess it was kind of love light at first sight. And she was like, "You should come to Cali and visit me." She's like, "All right, I'll come and visit." So at the time I was working at UPS, I took my vacation. This was right after 9/11. Took my vacation, supposed to be here 2 weeks, just never went back.
Wow.
That's how I ended up in Cali. And then the story goes from there, and how I got into the industry and actually start making the beats that I heard, or at least beats like the ones that I heard on those albums.
That's dope. That's dope. I know. And we've had previous conversations about, you being a college graduate and learning about business through college, and then working in the movie industry, working with Foley and sound design and all that kind of stuff. What are some things that you tell younger people to look into, that's not the norm stuff, like outside of the box kind of things to look into as a young adult that most people wouldn't think to look into?
Okay. I always thought that, like, you remember the time where if you even said rap deal, the budget was $1 million.
Right.
Oh, he just signed a deal. Oh, he's a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Just signed a deal. He's a millionaire. Now, after me and that particular chick broke up, I used to always say, "Man, I'm gonna move back home." Just doing a relationship, just threatening, "I'm gonna move home. You getting on my nerves. I'm gonna be gone." But then when we actually broke up, it was like, "All right, you can go home now." I'm like, "I don't want to go home. I want to stay out here. I want to figure it out. I don't know what I'm gonna do." So I started building a music studio. I had 2-bedroom little bungalow in Inglewood, and I turned one of the rooms into a studio. It was a real simple mixer, a Boss DR770 drum machine. I had an SP 303 and like some kind of cheap mic. I didn't know anything about it. So I'm like, I need some money to finance this. And I heard if you go to school, they'll give you some money. So I went and signed up in college. I went, my major is computer science. And as I was taking the classes, they said, the more credits you get, the more money you get. I'm like, all right, I really need this studio. So I need to stack on these credits.
Right.
So after a certain amount, you have to petition to the dean to, kind of get permission to stack on like that and show and prove that you're able to handle the extra hours, extra credits. So I stacked on the maximum. I think it was up to like 19, maybe 20 credits a semester. And I think the average probably was 12 at the time. It was something like that. But I was getting them checks though. I was supposed to be buying books. I was supposed to be I don't know if that money was for food or whatever the case may be, but I was on a bus at the Guitar Center. What's the next piece I need? The next major piece I bought was an Avalon 737 preamp. That was the first. Once I put that in my studio, I'm like, oh yeah, I get it now. But I would go to the Guitar Center and put that big old box on my lap and catch the bus home. People look at me like, "You crazy, you about to take that on a bus?" Yeah, I got to get it how I get it right now. It's just right. Piece by piece. And then I just started building from there. And my focus was really just build this studio. School was happening in the background, straight A student, dean's list, president's list, honors list. I graduated magna cum laude. But my goal was to just do what you got to do so you can get this studio running. And then I looked up one day and I had enough to graduate early. So I took it, graduated, got my degree. But the only thing is, I felt like I should have went to Silicon Valley, but I looked at the industry around me and it looked like they were having fun. Like the rappers and all that, like, man, I want to live like that. So I went and pursued entertainment, but one advice or the main tip that I learned that it was all a lie.
Right.
It was all smoke and mirror. It wasn't. I was so pissed. I was pissed. I was like, man, I could have created Facebook or so, or been in that circle because I can compete in that circle. It's challenging. But just coming to entertainment and chasing placements and the whole record deal and building and having meetings and it was a lot of waste of time.
Right.
So I realized that if you look at the pay scale of everything, in my opinion, might have changed, but in my opinion, I feel like the rapper was the least paid. It just looked like he was getting it.
Yeah.
Like you gonna be anything, the producer getting them checks.
Right.
And around the time it was rumored that like guys like Dre and Timbaland were like 100,000 a beat, $250,000 a beat. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy.
Right.
So I built the studio up to a certain point, and then it was like, all right, now I'm making music, I'm working with artists, we need videos. So I hired a videographer. I went out of town for my baby brother's funeral. It was kind of just an emergency. I got a role. My little brother just got killed. He was supposed to shoot all the music videos for the songs that we created. Wow. And by the time we got back, we had a whole launch plan or whatever the case. So while I'm home in DC, my artists are hit me and like, man, this dude tripping. He pulling power moves. He holding the footage. He trying to tell us what to wear. And just like, then he not answering the phone. I'm like, nah, it ain't supposed to go like that. And they were really discouraged. And I said, you know what? Don't trip. When I get home, we're going to figure it out. I'm going to learn it. We just going to do it. And then that's how I got into shooting music videos. So I bought a camera. My partner had a plug at Panasonic, and he was like, look, man, I got this camera. It's 6 bands. Just give me half. I said, what? I give you 25 right now. He said, meet me at such and such. I met him, gave him Panasonic. So I'm like, I got this big old news camera now. What do I do with this? I just started reaching out to people I knew, like, hey, let me shoot your music video. Just let me test. Just free. Come on out. So I started doing that. And after maybe like the 5th or 6th one, somebody said, hey, come do some behind the scenes for a music video. And it was a music video starring a game and like Keisha Cole. And I don't know for sure, but they said on set that the budget was like 100-some thousand or whatever. It was a crazy number. Mm-hmm. And I looked at the main camera. I'm like, I got that right now in the car. You paid $100. And I was like, hold on, let me see what's going on around here. So I'm just peeping and I'm looking at the jobs that everybody's doing. And I'm like, y'all getting overpaid for this stuff. It's ridiculous. So this is now I'm learning about budgets. Mm-hmm. Like, you mean to tell me y'all paying that much for that? So then maybe a week or two later, I got on like a 3 6 Mafia set. And this time I bought some models. Like a couple of the girls that's in like the Lolly Lolly video. I brought them up there. But here we are again. They were doing green screen. And just a little whisper number of the budget on that, I'm like, that's crazy. Because this is stuff that I did in the hospital on my laptop just to get my mind off of pain or whatever the case. Now y'all call this stuff something. Mm-hmm. Y'all will pay me this much to do this. I knew I was staying in Cali after that.
Yeah. I feel
it
that.
was just different stages. It just progressed, and what you're seeing now is the result of all of those different chapters of me saying, hey, I have experience in this, I need this. I have experience in graphic designs, let me do my graphics. Experience in editing, visual effects, stuff like that.
That's dope, man. You have an incredible, dope ass story, and we can talk about it like for hours and hours and hours. I never get tired of hearing your story and just how talented you are. Like the purpose of the podcast really is to highlight my friends, and I have a lot of talented friends in my circle, and they do a lot of things. And I was like, man, the world just needs to know about all these things that my friends do, because like, you know, out of my circle of friends, 10 of them are like the master of everything, jack of all trades, can do everything. And you're one of those guys. I consider you my friend because, you know, we met on social media, and I was at first just a consumer of your products, and then I reached out to you, and you was like cool as hell, and you was like, yeah, hey, let's do this, let's do this piano class, and let's, we talk about music forever. And I'm like, man, this dude cool. And I'm appreciative of you allowing me to be in your circle, and you taking your time out to come to the podcast and like tell your story and try to help people, because that's the purpose of the podcast, is to help people in the community. And I think that your story is one of those stories that are able to make people think about life, think about, things that may happen in their life, that may have pushed their trajectory off of where they thought they were going to be due to whatever. But you're able to survive and thrive and just be successful, man. And I want to salute you to that, man, because, man, you're doing incredible things. I mean, the Grind 329 t-shirt, man, he pressed the t-shirts for me, man. And,
yeah.
Gave me the plug on who to get, gave me the plug on the shirt. Yes, sir, the branding. So with that, I want you to talk about, before we get out of here, I want you to talk about your social media, how to get in touch with you. I know you got YouTube, Facebook, IG, all that stuff. Let the world know where we can find you for that kind of stuff, and we'll go from there.
Well, my social media is So100 Brand on all platforms, SO0100 BRAND. That way to make it easy. Before, I didn't really care about building social media or my presence on there. I always felt like I'm not for everyone. I'm one of those rare jewels that you find, and if you find it, then you did that in this life. If not, then hey, you missed out. And I'm comfortable with being there. The ones that find me, I cherish you guys, because you could be rocking with anyone else in the world, but you rocking with me. And I appreciate that. And I like exclusiveness, and I like the people in my circle that just have the best exclusive stuff. Like, I've seen people just randomly come on my comments like, why would you need expansions if you got your own hardware and you can sample it yourself? And yes, you can do all that. But I did it so my people don't have to. I've searched the country high and low for the best oscillators I could put my hands on, the best filters, the best Class A circuitry. Everything is ran through Class A circuitry. I cut no corners. So yes, you can sample your own, but this is something different over here. So it's So100 Brand on all platforms. So100.com is my website. And on there, I'm actually building it up to do a Netflix kind of selection with my tutorials, advanced tutorials, very advanced. Like, I look on YouTube and I look for some of the things I want to cover, and I don't see it. I don't see people using machines in different ways that it probably wasn't designed to use. Mm-hmm. And in my mission to build my platform, I was just going to put it on YouTube. But a couple people was like, nah, wait, you can build up an audience if you save some stuff for the people that really rock with you. Right. So for the people that really rock with me, like you and the others in the group and NPC gang and all of those guys, the So100.com is for y'all. But I am going to have a huge presence on all of the other platforms because I understand how it works now. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. Before it was just, I'm gonna post what I want, I'm gonna make what I want, I'll post when I want to post it. I don't care if you see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't, it's there.
Right.
But that's mainly not if you see it, you don't. It's more so I make this stuff for my children. When they get old enough to want to, get into some of the things I have. Hey, I have a video on how to use this equipment.
Mm-hmm.
You want to pull this beat machine down out the closet and use it? Watch this video first. That way you at least know how to move around it. And it's me. It's their dad. So I know how to break complex information down into digestible pieces that a child can understand. So I need to translate that to my channel. Not to call people on YouTube children, but that's how I'm going to break the information down.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I can attest to the expansions. I have all of them except for one, and that's coming down the pipe real shortly. I'm gonna get that last one that I'm missing. But listen, it has changed my production, my sound. It has changed my thought process about making music, having those expansions, man. And I'm so thankful that we've crossed paths, and I've ran into you to get those expansions, and all the hard work you do as far as just actually going to the studios and getting the real sounds from the real instruments, man. I don't know too many people that's putting in the work that you've done to do that. So again, thank you for doing that. And you can tell.
I don't call that work. I just call that me exploring. Me and I ran through all the synths that I own physically. Maybe a few I haven't touched yet. I'm probably saving, but I felt like me making tartar sauce, I only had to make one expansion. There's 100 instruments in there. It's different categories, like 4 or 5 for each category. You got keys, pads, bells, plug. I thought that was it. That's all we need. It's just the basic sounds, but people were asking for more. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, how many different pianos can you want or use? But different circuitry that's in different hardware will give you a unique character. Mm-hmm. Where even if it's a slightly unique characteristic, that can be the flavor that you like. So in order to keep up with the demand of, hey, when is your next one? That's when I was like, all right, I gotta, instead of saving up to buy a sim just for this expansion, I can rent one. Mm-hmm. But there's not really too many companies that'll allow you to rent gear. There's one guy I know out here in Cali. We're building a trust for that right now, but he has a lot of classic gear that he rents out. But I think right now he has an exclusive circle that he do that for. And I'm just knocking on the door of the circle. Mm-hmm. But he sees my work ethic and he sees what I'm doing, so he's entertaining it. But I haven't done it yet. So the next best thing was that a lot of studios, even if you look on your local Craigslist to promote, or now Instagram, they promote their studios and they tell you the gear that they have in here. And they use that as a marketing or, a selling point, which is cool. I based where I book a block session on the gear that they have. If I see somebody oh, he has a working PPG. Oh yeah, I need saying that I was using their marketing points or the gear that they have as an ideal inspiration for my next expansion. So Andromeda, there was a studio, they had their Elise's Andromeda, their flagship board, mm-hmm. and they had a working Yamaha CS80. And so what I'll do is I'll go book 4-hour session, and in that 4 hours, I will multi-sample as much as I could. And I also look at the compressors and the limiters and stuff that they have. Because like I say, even though if I don't compress the actual key group, I noticed that for certain gear, if it has a bypass button on it and you bypass it, you still get a characteristic from that particular gear, from the circuitry of it. So even you're not compressing and processing it heavy, but just running it through it,
Right.
you get a different character. So I would do that and just come up with just big, huge sounding key groups that I will use. I can randomly pick about 4 or 5 and know that I'm gonna use each one of them. There's no fluff, nothing to throw away, nothing based on time to where I sampled it at 89, but your beat is in 93 and it's just not modulating right. None of that. Everything is programmed within the machine.
Definitely, that's dope. So yeah, y'all need to get that. If you're on an MPC, you need to have the So 100 brand expansions. You got to have it in your collective, in your studio, on your hard drive, because those are, I know who's using them and I know who's not. I can tell you that. That's all I'll say about that. So yeah, you need to go on the internet, man. There's one on there for $1. If you just not sure and you just want to try it out, there's the expansion on there for $1, and you can test it out. And I guarantee you, because that's what I did. I bought the one that was for $1, and I tested it out, and I was like, shit, all of this for $1. And when I got to the end of it, I was like, man, I gotta have the rest of them. And like I said,
branding, that's called a loss leader. That's what we call the loss leader. We're taking a loss for it, but I know I'm so confident in it that I just need you to get my sounds in your system.
Right.
Once you're in there, I already know what it is. Like, you don't even have to come back to me immediately. You can go back and get other expansions, but you can always look at that one like, something about that. And then they just come and get the rest. There's more where that came from, but yes, pay it forward. That's my loss leader. Is $1. It was supposed to be $1 just for the pandemic, but here we are going into year 3, so it's gonna stay $1 forever.
Sounds good. I like that. Again, man, I really appreciate you being on the podcast. And if there's anything ever that you need from me, man, I'm a phone call away. You hit me and you got it. So
you ain't.
That's the way we rock.
I appreciate you for reaching out.
Anytime. So is there any last things you wanna say out to the world before we get out of here?
Well, keep your eye out for Meet the Idiots. It's an actual cartoon series. Like, if people don't know, I've animated a few things in the past, music videos, even a couple episodes. But I think this Idiots thing, like I said, grew into its own thing, and I actually have some content releasing pretty soon that's gonna show you it's official.
That's what's
Meet the Idiots.
Meet the Idiots. That's what's up.
Or if you just change where the M is Meet Them Idiots.
Oh, that's cold.
Meet them idiots.
Yeah, that's cold.
Whatever entendre you want to go by.
Yes, sir. I love it. Well, appreciate you, man. And till next time, man. This is Grind by Alonze. We out of here. Salute. So what's up? Thank y'all for joining my podcast, Grind 329 by Alonze. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere that there's social media under Beats by Alonze. On my YouTube, we're gonna come up with a new YouTube called Grind 329 by Alonze. So you'll be able to find all the podcast episodes on the YouTube. Also, if you want to go to my regular YouTube, that's going to be at Zay2001, or just search Beats by Alonze. I'll populate there. You know, also listen to the podcast on Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere that you can find podcasts. That's where we're going to be at. Till next time, appreciate you. Thank you for coming out. Peace.